This situation just got crazier. Trade talks intensifying. Surrounding that man right there, Dougie Hamilton. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Devil's Digest. I'm your host, Ryan the Goose Gosiker, here with you as always. Before we get into the program, I want you to be a subscriber to Devil's Digest. We have crossed the 600 subscriber plateau, and I would love for us to get to 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of hard to fathom, right? Devil's community shows out and is strong, and we want to make sure we get to 1,000 subscribers. My goal is by opening night, but let's push the gas pedal and let's get to 1,000 subscribers. Now let's get into the program. The trade talks around Dougie Hamilton continue to swirl and continue to manifest themselves, and again, a lot of it is sometimes difficult, right? It's a lot of reporters and sources and stuff like that. What is going on behind the scenes, we don't know. What we do know is that the conversations are happening. And here is the latest. This is, just the Devils have explored the market on Dougie Hamilton. And the point is they're not actively shopping Dougie Hamilton. They're not the ones making the first contact on these. A lot of the times it's teams reaching out to them as opposed to them necessarily shopping. And again, we've talked about, if the Devils are going to trade Dougie Hamilton, it needs to be for the right package coming back to New Jersey, because yes, has Dougie been the player he was the first couple years of that contract? No, mostly due to injuries, okay, which is, not his fault. But again, at the same time, the Devils, he's got a $9 million cap hit. They need to figure out, do they need to move that for, just future necessity, right? And the clogging of the defensive pipeline and all that good stuff. So, also stumbled upon this, okay? And this really, introduced some more teams into the mix. And I want to give credit to you guys. Some of our listeners, some of our followers, subscribers, did mention the Leafs as a team that's been leaked. The Leafs leaked about Dougie Hamilton in terms of they could be offering a package. Okay, but this article goes even further in depth, talking about not only the Stars, right? We talked about Robertson potentially coming back, but the Red Wings and the Mammoths. Okay, so those are two additional teams that I really hadn't even heard much of anything about. Now could potentially be involved, as those teams are pushing hard to acquire a right shot defenseman that can bolster their offense and improve their power play, which is what Dougie Hamilton does, right? I mean, he was, the leader of power play one. He's got the rifle up top that, I used to shout it out, the Dougie rifle, okay? So he can certainly help those teams. Again, I think the Devils, are, if they're going to move him, it's to, move it out, get a really good piece back, potentially a forward that, that top six guy to go with Jack. And then, it gets rid of his salary off the books, because he's still got a couple years, and again, we talked about 2 years. They've got Nico's contract. I know we don't like to look too far ahead because we do need to focus on the here and now and competing next year. But, that does factor in a little bit. It certainly should be factoring in Tom Fitzgerald's mind is, about, hey, down the road here, right? Luke Hughes still remains unsigned, and with the current cap space and current projection on his contract, the Devils it doesn't look like they can afford that. So they have to make a move to clear cap space to get Luke Hughes signed and under contract. And then, they still need another move, right? So they really do need to clear cap space. Again, the fact that Andre Palat is still on this roster is beyond me, okay? But now it seems like things are starting to heat up just a little bit in the Dougie Hamilton market, okay? Some continuation here on the article. And again, it's not necessarily something that the Devils are actively shopping him for, but it's something that they're receiving phone calls from teams about, and you have to take those phone calls. It's GM malpractice if you don't, right? Because if a team throws together a package you can't turn down and it's going to make your team substantially better while also clearing the cap space, you can't really say no to that. So the Devils, again, it feels like, if you asked me January 1st, I would have laughed at you. Is Dougie Hamilton going to get traded? I would have laughed at you. Now, I don't laugh at you. I understand what you're saying. And it makes sense. from kind of some different angles here. And again, Dougie has been a consummate professional. You've heard me say it before. Consummate professional. He's been a perfect community member for New Jersey. He does everything right. Dougie's buddies and stuff like that. Like he's great with the kids. He's great with the social media team. Everything like that. And I still think, in my heart of hearts, if you ask me, I'm not a gambling man. I'm not. But if you ask me to put money on it, I still think he's wearing a Devils sweater come opening night. However, that train, the train of trade Hamilton, has been picking up steam. It certainly has. You cannot deny it. You physically, emotionally, literally, figuratively can't deny it at this point in time. The train to trade Dougie has left the station, and it's gaining steam. Okay, so would I be stunned if Dougie is not on the opening night roster? No, I would not. I expect him to be. I still think, I was talking to Aiden about this. I still think there's about, still a below, I'd say like between 15 and 25% chance that he's traded before opening night. So that's where I'm at in terms of, I still think he's going to be here. But again, they can't not entertain these phone calls. And if they're going to make a splash and make this team look truly, if Tom Fitzgerald just came out at the end of the season and just said, this wasn't good enough, team's got to be better next year, then I'd be like, cool, right? We re-sign this guy, maybe, these little additions, stuff like that. They still have a couple additions to make. Maybe they could be smaller moves, right? But when he comes out and says this team has to look different, because it just wasn't acceptable, well, how different does it look? We mentioned this in the last video. How different does it actually look right now from last year? That's a great question. And so that means there's probably going to be a move. There could be a move that we didn't see coming, and this certainly would be the one. And I will tell you to the end of time how upset I would be if Andre Palat was the one left on the roster opening night as opposed to Dougie Hamilton. So it's going to be interesting. Stay with us on Devil's Digest. We're going to break it all down. Again, as things keep coming out to us, we will get it out to you, the listeners, the viewers. We appreciate you however you're listening, however you're consuming this content. Again, it's much appreciated by Aiden and I and the entire Digest Media staff. We appreciate you, and we want to bring you the best content for the Devils community, Devils Digest community. So we appreciate you for listening, for watching. And again, I want you to leave comments. I want you to subscribe to the channel because we need to get to 1,000. But leave us a comment. Again, as the days continue to roll on, you know what? This is what I want. Comment in this video a percentage likelihood that Dougie is traded. So what I gave you was, I told you between 15 and 25% chance that he gets traded. That's my opinion. I want to know what your opinion is. Give me a percentage of likelihood that Dougie gets traded by opening night in the comments. Leave it there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you next time on Devil's Digest.